When did faking it actually work out for you? I was desperate for a job after graduation, but had zero experience in graphic design. The economy was trash, and I'd already been rejected from 37 positions when I spotted the perfect listing: junior designer at a small marketing agency. The posting required 2+ years experience with Adobe Creative Suite. I had exactly zero, but rent was due in 2 weeks, and my savings had evaporated. My roommate Alex kept telling me, just apply anyway. Everyone lies on their resumes, so I lied. Completely rewrote my resume. Created a fake portfolio overnight using tutorials, coffee, and pure panic. I watched YouTube videos at 2x speed for 48 hours straight, learning just enough Photoshop and Illustrator to fake basic competence. I even made up a small freelance business with testimonials from clients, actually my roommates. The morning of the interview, I nearly threw up from anxiety. The creative director, Sophia, was intimidating in that effortlessly cool way. Tattoo sleeves, vintage glasses, and the kind of confidence I was desperately pretending to have. My hands trembled as I presented my work, waiting for her to expose me as a fraud. "This logo design is interesting," she said, pointing to something I'd made at 3 a.m. while following a tutorial. "What was your thought process here?" I froze momentarily, then remembered the explanation from the tutorial. "I wanted to create something that balanced modern minimalism with approachable warmth," I said, repeating words I barely understood. Somehow she nodded, impressed. "Your style is unique, raw but promising." 3 days later, they offered me the job. My plan was simple: learn everything lightning fast before they discovered the truth. I arrived early each day and stayed until midnight, watching tutorials while pretending to work on projects. I asked careful questions that wouldn't reveal my ignorance, framing them as just curious about your approach, rather than "I have no idea what I'm doing." I lived in constant fear. Every time Sophia approached my desk, I was convinced this was it, the moment she'd realize I was a complete fraud. 3 weeks in, disaster struck. The lead designer quit unexpectedly after an argument with the CEO. The next morning, Sophia dumped their biggest client project on my desk, a complete rebrand for a local credit union. "They're particular," she warned. "They've already rejected 2 concept directions, but I like your instincts." I had 48 hours to create something that a professional with years of experience couldn't deliver. I panicked. This would expose me for sure. I considered quitting before they could fire me, even drafted the email. Instead, I pulled 2 straight all-nighters. No sleep, just desperate learning and creating. I analyzed every credit union website I could find. I sketched dozens of concepts, most ending up crumpled on the floor. My eyes burned from staring at the screen, and I subsisted entirely on energy drinks and stale donuts from the break room. When I finally submitted the designs, my eyes were bloodshot, my hands shaking from caffeine overdose. I'd created 3 concept directions, each with a presentation explaining the strategic thinking, mostly buzzwords I'd picked up from design podcasts. My boss called me into her office. This was it, the end of my short career. "This work," she began, staring at my designs. I braced for impact, already calculating how much I had left to survive until another job. "This is exactly what they wanted. How did you know their aesthetic so perfectly?" I mumbled something about understanding their community focus, words I was too exhausted to even process. The client loved the designs, like really loved them. That project became the turning point. I still felt like an imposter, but I was learning rapidly. Each assignment got a little easier. I stopped having to Google basic terminology. 6 months later, I won the company's first design award from a local business association. My concept for a nonprofits campaign beat out agencies triple our size. Sophia took me out for drinks to celebrate and confessed something unexpected. "You know, I almost didn't hire you," she said after her second martini. "Your portfolio was rough, but there was something genuine about your interview. Everyone else came in so polished, so rehearsed. You seemed hungry, teachable." Now I'm the creative director at that same agency. Sophia left to start her own firm and recommended me as her replacement. Sometimes I think about confessing, about telling someone that my entire career was built on a desperate lie, but then I remember they didn't hire me for my experience. They hired me for my potential that I was too afraid to see in myself.